believe I'm live. Let me set up this secondary. And whatnot. So, if any of y'all are out there and you come across this is a Q&A. This is, if anybody's got any questions or whatever. So, there we go. All right. Which right now there's nobody on here. Maybe somebody will see this and decide to tune in. So I can see your comments. So if anybody has any questions or anything y'all want to ask or whatnot, I'll do my best to answer them, I guess. I prefer to be doing this in the garage, but of course the Wi-Fi don't work worth a shit down there, so that's kind of a slight issue. Hopefully the audio's coming through well. So, let's see. Anything interesting going on? Record build, news, putting along. Trying to think if there's anything new that I can talk about. Guess really there ain't. If somebody was on here and was talking to me, that'd be fine and dandy. But unfortunately, I didn't give no notifications, so I guess there probably ain't gonna be nobody show up to this. If they do, that's great. If they don't, well, it is what it is. We pretty much already know what the record build is. I think I've stated that in the videos. Y'all have seen the new Magnum video, so y'all know what that is. Really wish somebody would be on here. The one viewer I have right now is myself, so I can look at the comments. So, yes, to anyone that catches this video later, too bad you weren't here. You could have asked some questions. I don't know when I'm going to do this again, but now that I can do it, I'm going to try to do it. A little bit of live stream here and there ain't going to be a terrible aspect. In a way, it does give me an easier way of making a video without all the editing and problems I have to go through. But let's see. AK-47, AMD 65, 7.62. Probably should have announced that I was going to do something like this. This is the first Q&A. If, later video I do a Q&A. I'll try to actually notify out. I don't know how to actually notify out. Technically, I don't even know how to actually operate this stupid thing. Let's see here. What does this do? No. What does that do? No, I don't want that either. No, so I guess that doesn't help me now. For some reason, the laptop, the camera doesn't work right with trying to do the live stream thing. It will work when I have it hooked into the just turn on the camera, but it doesn't work with the live stream thing. I really don't know why. Maybe I don't have the settings right. I am not the most computer savvy person out there. But, you know, I get by. Um, it would be nice if I knew more about it, especially with the Hemi aspect. Depending on which way it goes, I'll have to maybe learn computer, how to operate some type of throttle body fuel injection system. New technology, not old technology. Or I may end up just using old technology. I'm not 100% sure. At a certain point, I at least have to use a certain amount of new technology due to the fact that there's no distributor. But, you know, the Virago, the weather's actually starting to get better, so I might have to bring that thing out and try to get it actually some work done to it for warm weather, so I can actually start riding it. Uh, Trying to think. Honda is still sitting there in the same condition it was when I stopped. Haven't had no time. Plus, I don't have a way to actually pick the motor up and shit to put it in the darn Honda. Mazda is pretty well the same difference. It's not as bad, but right now there's not much that I can do. Let's see. I'm doing some work with James Bergner on his Power Wagon for some parts and stuff that I need to get some parts I need for the wrecker. Wiring harness, grill, just little odds and ends and just different odds and ends. Um, kind of still fooling around with trying to get the materials necessary to do certain things. Um, I'm not rich, so I got to do with what I can do. um, but it'll all work out in the big picture of things, I guess. What else? Magnum's going to be an interesting project. I hope y'all actually enjoy it and everything. Yeah, I know it's, taking away from time with the record, and probably the Magnum videos will stick around a Thursday, Friday-ish time frame. I'm going to break the videos up, so it's not going to be just, I'm going to try to break the videos up so more content over a period of time to try to get more information. I know with a lot of the videos I've done so far, there's not really a lot of information on how you do something, just more of here's what I've done. Um, I'm going to try to give more information in the videos. I hope that I'm going to be able to do that. Um, the Magnum build is going to be really fluid. I'm hoping to get a lot accomplished, but I can already tell you this now. The Magnum build is going to literally start at a point. It'll go as far as it goes. And when I can't afford to buy any more parts for a while, that's as far as it's going to go until I can, you know, build up enough money to purchase the parts. Because some of the parts for the car are expensive. It's a 2005, but it's still a newer model car. It's not a situation of you can go to a junkyard and find a half a dozen of these things laying around. You can find them, but where I'm located, they're not that plentiful. Now, if you're in a more bigger city or something, they might be a little bit more available in the junkyards than they are here. Um, Here we've got 4 junkyards, and out of 4 junkyards, we have one junkyard that actually has anything for them. And mostly everything that they have has already been almost picked because they're not very commonly in the junkyards. So anybody that has one or is looking for parts for one is pretty much already been stripped. Um, so literally parts will be from a half a dozen different vehicles in most cases. But where all most of the good parts are stripped, the slightly damaged parts that I don't care to fix become extremely cheap. But there's some parts that just ain't there. Don't you love them new modern cigarettes that freaking go out when you try to freaking talk? But anyways.
Thanks for helping me.
You're welcome. So the like an example, this 6-speed transmission. I really want a 6-speed transmission in the car. It may take a while, and I may try a few things beforehand before I ever get to that point. But the 6-speed transmission is definitely something that will eventually be in the car. Well, the only places I can find that is online. And the 6-speed transmissions online are right around $1,500. $1,500, may not seem like much for some people, but for me, that's a pretty good chunk of change. Um, so, I'm going to have to build up to that point. Um, Other things, if I go with fuel injection, depending on which system I go with, that's up in the $1,200–$1,500 range, depending on how I go that direction. Could go as low as maybe $1,000 if I go carbureted, but some of that stuff's the parts are expensive still. There's really not any cheap parts. Because if there are cheap parts, I'll be the one to find them because I'm after cheap parts. Because, I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination. Currently, at the making of this right now, Craigslist, Marketplace, on Facebook, whatever, in my area, a a V6 Dodge Magnum, all bone stock, that runs and drives, is right around $3,000 to $4,000. Now, one blown up, that's anything below that price, depending on who's selling it and how, the person's trying to sell it and how good can you haggle them or whatever. Um, an RT or whatever in a Magnum that's a, Hemi, even just a 5.7, you're looking at somewheres in the, unfortunately, closer to 4,000 if the motor's blown up, all the way up to 6, 7,000. Some of them even up as high as 8 or 9 if it runs and drives with just a 5.7 in it. So, in that sense, there really ain't a lot you can. You really can't go out here and buy the car I'm after for a price that I can afford. Plus, if I buy a car that's already a Hemi, I'm really not benefiting anything from it because it's still not going to be the way I want it. It's still not going to have any of the performance aspects that I want. None of them came manual, so it won't be manual. I may be starting with a better starting point, but I also could be starting with a worse starting point. And considering what all would end up changing and stuff to make it the way I'd want it, it would end up not being sensible to start at that point. The Magnum I got it cheap, and I'm gonna have to do some time and work and stuff with it, and hopefully it'll all end up working out in the big picture of things. If it doesn't, then well, I guess it doesn't, but it is what it is. Same aspect with the wrecker. Yes, I could go out here and I could buy a wrecker, but one, the wrecker wouldn't be what I want. Two, the wrecker's would cost me more than what I can build one for, and it just wouldn't be practical in the big picture of things. So, in that situation, why not build it? Plus, by taking the time to learn how to build something, even if you don't complete the project, you grow in a mechanical sense to the point where you can do better on the next project. I've had several projects that I got to a certain point and just had no interest in fooling with them. I lost all interest in them. I sold them for what I could get out of them, and that was it. But the things I did do in that project over since 2010, not 2010, 2004, over that time frame, I've learned and expanded. When I started working on cars and stuff, I didn't know a lot about cars. I was just, your average guy that wanted to know more about cars, and it just went from there. A lot of it was hands-on, and a lot of it was, bugging people that knew more about cars to find out more about cars. And at a certain point, I start digging in myself. And sometimes I screwed stuff up. Sometimes things worked out really good. But in the big picture of things, it's just an education to learn more. Even when I failed working on something, I've become more wise on knowing what I can and can't do. And technically, there really ain't much you can do to a car besides literally destroy it that can't be fixed. The car was put together by some people, and other than you destroying it where it physically can't work again, as in burned it to the ground, completely crush it to the point that it's not even recognizable as a car, technically it's still fixable. If you've watched videos of people out here that took cars that literally were so far gone that there really wasn't nothing left, but they built an entire car back. Example, look at DIY gangs, Hellcat. I think it was burnt to the ground. Most people would consider it not buildable. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch his videos. Real cool to show how far you could literally go from with a little bit of knowledge. Of course, you got my buddy James Folks with the Red Chevelle. Unfortunately, he didn't record all the way in the very beginnings, but that car was rough. No one else would have fixed that car, but he did. And yeah, he's on a budget just the same as I am. He ain't got all the money in the world to just start sinking millions of dollars. Plus, he's not trying to build a Concours restoration, SEMA event car out of it. It's a driver. He's going to take it out when it's done and use it like it was intended to be used when it was built in 1970. He's going to drive it. He's going to melt tires off of it, and he's going to enjoy it. You know, what else are you supposed to do with something? You know, it's fine and dandy if you're the person that goes out here and, you know, saves a car by restoring it and keeping it pristine. You know, yes, there's places for them, but not every car needs to be that. It's a car. You may love the car, but if you ain't enjoying the car, what's the point? There was can't remember the make. It was a commercial a while back, and I can't remember who put the commercial out. But it asked the question: is when you turn your car on, does it return the favor? That's a damn good quote for a car guy, because literally, if you hop in your car and you don't turn, if you turn the key and you're not grinning from ear to ear, why do you have that car? If it isn't almost the most happiest thing in your life, just getting in it, just turning the key, just taking it down the road, just kicking a little sideways or popping the tires loose a little, or just gapping into it and it just shoves you in the back seat as hard as it can. If if that doesn't, you know, do it for you, why are you even messing with cars? You know, it's just the way it is for me. You know, my cars half the time never get fully finished because I never actually get them to that point. I usually end up changing something after I do it. You know, my black Aspen down here, when I put it together, you know, it was a pretty simple aspect. It was a slant six car. I changed the K member, put a truck 318 in it, and a 904 transmission. That's how it started. Then I started breaking stuff because I started building the motor hotter. And the stuff I broke, I built stronger, put heavier duty components in it. That led to a point when now I wasn't happy with the motor power, so I put a darn cop car V8 in it, an 84 Diplomat cop car motor, and hopped it up some. Then I broke some more stuff. And then I finally got the crazy idea that, hey, I'm going to try to put a 5-speed in it, an AX15 out of a Dakota. I have a 93 Dakota with the pedal assembly and everything, so it's hydraulic clutch and everything. And I think the video's glitching up on me here. But, you know, I decided to do the 5-speed swap in the Dakota. I mean, in the Aspen, which ended up making other things weak, and I had to reinforce other things and build things up. And the car's nowhere near done. Honestly, I'm fixing to pull the motor out of it and put even bigger motor in it. But that car, when I get in it and I put it in first gear and I pop the clutch and hammer the gas, and it steps sideways and throws me back in the seat and takes off, I can't do nothing but grin from ear to ear. It doesn't matter how bad of a day I've been having, how much problems have been going on, how much trouble's been, everything. I'm happy. And that's what cars are to me. They're my enjoyment. It's out of Fast and Furious, you know, for 10 seconds or less, I'm free. You know, in Fast and Furious, if you know, it's something about engines that calm me down. You know, it's yeah, I could go out here and I could do a lot of things and I could spend my money in a lot of different ways. I could blow money left and right for a lot of different stuff. But really, it isn't the object that makes me feel good and happy. It's what I've accomplished with it. It's how it acts. It's strangely the part of me that's in that vehicle, the how it fits my personality, how I know every little nook and cranny, every little weirdness of it. Some other random person hops in it and they can't get it to do half the stuff I can get it to do because they don't understand the car. It's a very intimate, spiritual, real connection with it. Now, you can't get that by going out here and just buying it. If you buy the car and you've had it for years, then you can get some of that. But not the same as remembering every single nut, bolt, and screw that you've put in that car. Where that part came from that maybe it took you a month to find. Or how you broke it and you had to do this to make it survive this time. You know, like with a person that you're in a relationship with, the whole aspect of you can be in love with somebody, but other than having time together builds the bond stronger. Love can be very superficial, but it's the time that you spend together that really concretes it. Or can break it, you know. Like with a car, if you are too hard on the car, you're going to break the car a lot. If the car's too hard to drive, you're not going to be able to handle it and it's going to take you into a tree. But if you can find that balancing point until your skill level reaches up there where the car is and you can build the car up to your skill level and whatnot, and you share this journey together, then you can reach a point where you are bonded in a way that most people wouldn't understand. Unless you've actually experienced something similar to this with a car that you truly loved, you would never know. My case was a 69 Cornet. Stupidly, I got rid of it. But that's kind of what started me on this. That's what started me in Dodge. You know, I've dabbled with other cars. I've owned all sorts of shit over the years, but that's what got me started with Mopar. Is a 69 Cornet with a 318 and a 2 barrel, a freaking lockup torque converter 904 transmission. It was a 4-door and it was aqua green. Had the best sounding dual exhaust you've ever heard underneath it. And that car would run so good, but I didn't know nothing about cars. It was a freeze plug issue. I thought I destroyed it. I got rid of the car like an idiot. Anybody that's messed with cars for a long period of time has a similar story about that one car that they loved to death and they got rid of it for whatever reason, and it haunts them. It is the way it is. But, you know. Well, it don't look like there's any anybody jumping on here. I've been on here 30 minutes. Just rambling on. I hope anybody out here that watches this, I hope somebody got some good information out of this. Maybe it's just a little bit of a glimpse into my insanity. But I hope everybody enjoys, and I'll try to give a heads up next go around on a live thing. So maybe somebody can actually come in and we can throw back some shit and talk a little bit, and I can hear about, maybe some questions that people out there's got for me, and see if I can help anybody. It doesn't technically have to be system, something I'm doing. It can be, something else. But so, but yeah, I guess I'll see you later. God bless. Subscribe, comment, yada yada yada. Bye.